Welcome, thank you for coming. This is Cleveland Rock's Past, Present, and Future's fourth professional development panel discussion this season. These events are sponsored by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture and the Ohio Arts Council. Cleveland Rock's Past, Present, and Future is a nonprofit dedicated to preserving the legacy of Cleveland music, to improving the overall economic outlook for Cleveland musicians, and providing resources and support and connectivity to the Cleveland music scene. Thank you all for coming. Today we're going to talk about marketing, promotion, branding, merchandising, strategizing with our panelists. I'd like to introduce them now. My name is David Kennedy. I work for Cleveland Rock's Past, Present, and Future. You can find out more about Cleveland Rocks at clevelandrocksppf.org. That's clevelandrocksppf.org. We have some interesting things going on, like the Waterloo Makes Music free concert series here on Waterloo. Check out our website and look at the events link to see the next free shows. And our ongoing campaign to reopen the Music Save space that's right next door as a local music retail store for Cleveland area music, both current and historical. And you can find out more information about our ongoing programs again at clevelandrocksppf.org. To my left is Corinne Hanahan of merchgirl.org, music, band, merchandising, printing. I'll let you talk a little bit more about that. Bruce Merrick of Capitol Records and Chrysalis Records. Gina Faiola, a artist and producer, and Sonny Tabler, a musician and music promoter. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Sonny, I'll start with you. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing in music and some of your background?
Okay, cool. So I play drums. That's my primary instrument. I went to Oberlin College and graduated from Oberlin with a degree in jazz drums. I also was triple major while I was there, so I also studied economics and corporate finance, and then Africana studies with cultural studies background, minor in math and politics. So I like doing a lot, always. Those are my life goals, is to be able to learn as much as I can all the time, and especially being a musician, learning how to support myself and to make sure I can get myself out there as good as possible. I actually got sick while I was in college, and that kind of changed the trajectory of my thinking about being able to, I'm gonna move this just a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna, it got me thinking about how to change my trajectory, because if I'm sick sometimes, how do I support myself as being a musician? How do I support my own projects and fund my own projects, and pretty much just support myself? So I started learning a lot about branding, grant writing, how to establish businesses, not-for-profit organizations, and things like that in order to, and also investing in things like that, just to be able to support myself as a musician, so I have freedom to do a lot of my projects, and to do what I love to do and play the music that I want to play without being restricted, having to necessarily take gigs I don't want to do or play music I don't want to play. So at that point in time, I did a lot of research on, branding, setting up business structures, financing, grant writing, and things like that in order to build myself up. So that's a little bit of my background.
Great, thank you. Gina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as an artist and what you've been doing to market and promote? And
Yeah, my pleasure. My name is Gina. Let me raise this up a bit. Pretty tall. All right, so yeah, my name is Gina Faiola. I am a singer-songwriter, self-taught guitarist. Guitar is my primary instrument. I've been playing music, I'm 45, so I guess I've been playing music for about 18 years or so. Been in Cleveland most of my life. I grew up in Guyana, South America, and then, I was born in Guyana, South America, and grew up in Cleveland, so I'm a native. I grew up in the Collinwood area, and I've been doing music for quite a while now. I produce myself out of necessity. I'm a parent. I've gone to schools and taught music and shared music. That's my background.
thank you. Bruce.
So I don't play any instruments at all. Back in high school, back in the 70s, I actually started working in the mailroom at CBS Records, and it just got me an infatuation with, everything that happened with music. And I did it all through high school, did it through college. CBS actually has an amazing college rep program where they hire kids that are in colleges, and our job is to go to college radio, promote records, how to go to retail, help them cross-promote things. And by the time I graduated, I graduated on Friday, moved to Pittsburgh on Saturday, and started working for CBS Records on Monday as the guy going to record stores hanging, posters on the wall. And I did that for 18 months, 19 months, and there became an opening at Chrysalis Records to become the local promo guy. So I took the chance, moved back to Cleveland, and became the local Chrysalis rep. And at the time, it was like we had Pat Benatar, Billy Idol, Huey Lewis, Jethro Tull, Sinead O'Connor. I mean, it was like we were a pretty big deal at that point. Unfortunately, Chrysalis got merged, bought, sold with 3 other companies, and then within 6 months, everything blew up and it all went away. I ended up going to work for Columbia's side label called The Word Group, which was literally Def Jam Records. So I got to work with a lot of rap acts at that time, but it just wasn't me. That wasn't what I did. So I took a little bit of time off, and then Capitol Records called, and I ended up working for Capitol Records for like 10 years. And it was really cool because, I was there at the start of Radiohead, the start of Everclear, the start of the Foo Fighters, and then, continue to work with like the Beatles and the Beach Boys. And so it was and Bob Seger's and that kind of stuff. And then we, continued with Robbie Williams and Meredith Brooks. So it was like a great run. Unfortunately, people stopped buying music, and unfortunately my position didn't become necessary anymore. So in like 2002, I got let go by Capitol, and I've been doing construction lately, but music's still my passion. I still go, Barry Gable will tell you, I still go see more shows than anybody else in the world, because I just go see everything. I still have a great relationship with all my acts. When they come to town, we still get together, so it's been really cool.
Corinne, thanks for coming. Tell us a little bit about your background in music.
I do play a little bit, but not well, and I figured that out when I was pretty young. I had a high school guidance counselor who gave me the best advice, which she said to figure out what it is you love to do and then figure out how to make a living at it. And I let that kind of simmer in my brain, and my youthful high school brain was like, well, I like going to rock concerts and hanging out with guys in bands. How do I make that a job? But it turns out that is a job. So I actually got hired by one of my favorite bands as a college freshman 25 years ago to go on tour as the tour merchandiser and learn how to roadie and plug in microphones and keyboards and stuff. I did that for a couple summers in college and realized there was a career in that for me, and there was a real need to fill for somebody who really loved to merchandise bands. So I started my company, Merch Girl Band Merchandise. It's very mission-driven about making a living for myself while helping artists make a living from their art. That's something that a lot of them need help with. They know how to make the art, but they don't know how to monetize it. So through eventually starting a custom printing company in Lakewood, Ohio, I've had the opportunity to tour with lots of bands and work at venues and expand that into a creative commerce company that focuses on e-commerce, fulfillment, setting up web stores for artists, helping them monetize their downloadable products and less physical products, even monetize the VIP experience on tour. There are so many ways to help artists make a living from their art, and that is my mission. That's what I do.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. So, Bruce, I'll start with you about maybe some of your perceptions on some of the things that were traditional in music promotion, that time-tested, some of the work around getting a band known.
Okay, back in the day, it was going to every radio station and making sure that they heard like a record. We would have Band A's record a month before it was hitting the radio, and I'd be at every station playing it. I'd make sure every disc jockey heard it. I'd make sure the receptionist heard it. I made sure the retail people in town heard it. It was like literally going down and dirty and just doing that. When I got the video, making sure they all saw the video. And so by the time we actually got it, there was some excitement about the record and people would be willing to give us a shot. What you just said was very interesting because, bands were like, well, we'll just get a limo. We'll order champagne, order steak. And I'm like, do you guys know you're paying for this? I'm like, no, we're not, the company is. And I go, no, you're paying for this. Everything I do gets charged back to you and it comes out of your advance. And nobody understood that. Once artists, and it took a while for artists to understand that. When they back and talk to their accountant, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Every limo you get, you pay for. No, the record company charges you for it. You may think the record company's paying for it, but you're paying for it. And it was like, bands all of a sudden like, wait, can we just drive in your cars? Like, yeah, that's probably smarter. Let's do that. But then once you got like, the radio excited, then it was like, okay, now you got to get retail excited. And you had to get my sales staff to make sure that they got, the Camelots and the Record Revs and the record theaters, all those guys excited about a record, want to put it in their stores, put it in display, put a poster up on it to let people know about it. Get Scene Magazine excited, so they would write an article about it. Get Barry Gable and Mike Belkin invited, so they would bring the band into town. So it was like all these things came together. And back in the 70s, this city was amazing because everybody worked as a team, and we were able to break band after band after band after band. It was fun to watch. It was fun to be part of.
Sonny, what do you see, right now that you're spending time marketing and promoting? What do you see that's different than that kind of approach?
I see nowadays how important social media is in branding and getting people out there. I know old school is being able to go and physically deliver your product, but now in the world of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of these other social media platforms, it's no longer about physically getting your product to people that are going to purchase your art. It's literally electronically being able to put on an image down to colors on your social media page that attracts someone to be able to give you a follow and to build your following electronically through these platforms so that you can get exposure through music, especially in a day where we stream now instead of, a lot of people don't buy physical records anymore. They will stream your record on iTunes and the artist will get very little money from that, right? Or Spotify, or I think the only platform that really pays artists now is Bandcamp. When you put your art on there, you're actually getting a significant portion of that money from these streams, right? But nowadays, it's not really even, I know it's crazy to say that it's not really about, especially for musicians, the platform that the music is on, it's literally creating an experience for your followers and for your fans, because it's bigger than just your music at this point with the world of how visual art has to be. And there's so many memes on Instagram about, okay, this is my business. I have to make content so that I can let people know I have a business now. Because, if you don't rank on Google, if you don't rank on Instagram, if you don't have more than 10,000 followers, a lot of those endorsement opportunities, a lot of those touring opportunities, a lot of opportunities for people to book you because they're looking to hear you online and see that you have a big following before they even book you at a venue, right? You can send them your press kit, but they're gonna say, how many followers do you have? Right. What's your branding look like? What's your imagery look like? What's your band's demographic? Analytically, how many likes do you get for posts that look like this as opposed to posts that look like this? How many followers or how many women do you have on your page, and what are their age demographics? How many men do you have, and what are their age demographics? Mm-hmm. So these people, nowadays, when you're going to a club, they're able to literally pull you up on the internet and see whether or not they want to book you just based off of the followers and the content that you have on your page. Sometimes beautiful and amazing music can get overlooked just because a band doesn't have a following on Instagram. So a lot of the physical has turned into digital. And I think that's a big adjustment for artists that necessarily I'm about my art, I don't need to be on social media. And it's like, well, to a certain point you do, because that's how these record labels discover you now. That's how, if you want to play for Beyonce is not going to listen to your press kit. She's going to look at how many followers you have on Instagram. Her team is going to look at what you look like on Instagram, right? What your vibe, what your look is, and things like that. Not even necessarily your talent. So it's really big, especially if you are talented, to make sure that you have a lot of that branding together.
Gina, how does this affect you as an artist? What are some strategies you're using, or what are you seeing that's...
I'm right in between, because I understand that we're here where Sonny's talking about, but I prefer where he was talking about, even though I wasn't even, I wasn't born in that time, But that system seems to have worked better for artists. you know.
You saw some money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you saw some money.
Yeah.
So me as an artist now, it's like pulling teeth to get heard. You know what I mean? It's like pulling teeth to gain followers if you don't have that network, that huge network behind you. You know, so I'm promoting myself. I pay for my own distribution. I'm my own record label, but I'm not able to pay myself. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yes, Corinne.
I think that old model, though it was easier to monetize the record release as an album, as a product, that isn't coming back.
Yeah,
Just
I
because
don't
of the
expect
way
it to.
people receive their music now, the way that they consume that now. So like the new model for income for artists almost has nothing to do with the musical release. The musical release builds the community, and the community creates the income through touring, through merchandise, through things like Patreon and subscription things that have become a huge source of income for artists. There's an old like TED talk from Steve Jobs from like the 2000s where he talks about how Apple wasn't in the business of making products, that they were in the business of building community, and that was like the number one thing that they had to focus on, was to build those adopters. That is exactly what musicians need to do right now, and what the successful, profitable groups out there are doing is through their social media, through the TikTok, Instagram, they're connecting directly with their fans, who then they take that brand onto themselves. They're your billboards and your radio promoters, because once they're sharing your posts and wearing your t-shirt and posting your lyrics on, you know, they're the best free organic outreach that you could never buy.
Right.
And they'll purchase, once you have a fan at that level, they will purchase every single thing you put your name on, every new t-shirt you put out, every new download. Even if it's available for free, you can put it up on your own site or your Bandcamp, and if there's somebody who's bought in at that level where they bought your t-shirt, they're going to send you the 99 cents for your song. But that's why, in my opinion, that is the focus now, is yes, the artist first, the music is first, that is your heart, that's what's gonna build that community and make sure that it is cohesive within your vision and who you wanna be connected to. But in terms of promotion and profit, you have to not think about, I'm exchanging these recordings for money, but I am building a huge community around my art and music, and those people are gonna come and pay to see it live, or they're gonna pay to see me perform a live stream, or they're gonna subscribe to my Patreon to keep me moving, they're gonna buy my NFT maybe, or something like that. I think that is the focus. And what you touched on regarding like the TikTok, Instagram, I've even been reading about established mainstream major label artists having in the can albums held back by the label because they want to release it with a viral video. And
Yeah,
they
I've
say,
read that
no,
too.
no, we know you have this album packaged up, but we are not going to release it until you give us the right 30 seconds for TikTok.
Yeah, I've read that.
So I don't know if that's good or bad. That's that's like the current state of the industry is
Right.
if you're on a major label and you want their backing, you've got to be willing to do the little dance, literally, the little 30-second dance and put it out with your album. Or you can go self-released, which a lot of people are having success with, and some of the mainstream artists are turning to because they want to get that Bandcamp download money instead of their like 11 cents from Spotify or whatever.
Right,
So.
right.
Yeah, I think in a lot of my studies for Instagram, I think they call them super fans. And it's across the entire demographic of Instagram. No matter what business you're doing, the concept is to create a super fan that will buy whatever it is that you're releasing. So when you literally drill that down into, okay, how do you find that what your super fan is? If an artist doesn't even have a brand, doesn't even know down to a look, literally what your age range, target range is, and you're never going to be able to get that super fan that's going to support. I mean, I think it only takes 1,000 super fans for someone to support themselves based on your pricing of your merchandise on your platform to support yourself with the average annual salary. So it's like the importance and significance of really connecting, telling a story, and in a world where everything is open and you can see it, and really creating a relationship with fans so that they feel included. That's how you're getting down to getting your super fans. It's no longer.
How do you get that first 1,000 though?
How do you get that first 1,000? With a lot of investment in boosts on Instagram, a lot of micro influencers. It's actually great when you're small and you have a small following to get other people with small followings to actually post your content, because it seems more intimate to those that are watching these posts. It doesn't seem like, oh, they paid for this ad. So if you as a small Instagram host with small following utilize micro influencing, which a lot of times you can pay people between $5 to $25 to shout out your product if they have under 10,000 followers. And they're really happy to be able to do regular posts for you, wearing merchandise, posting your lyrics, doing things that might be able to go viral in TikTok or Instagram Reels where they're singing to your song and doing something. That is actually what helps you to be able to get to those first 1,000 fans, because you're creating a more intimate setting and it seems homegrown and rooted and, and just like I didn't pay for these things, even though a lot of times people are paying for these things. But image-wise, a lot of people aren't thinking about that. They think, oh, I'm discovering this cool niche artist, and I'm going to follow them and see where their journey goes. And then as that starts to grow, that's where you start paying for a larger influence, more boost of your merchandise, more boost of your post to actually increase your rank on the analytic for Instagram. And a lot of people don't realize that in the beginning, you have to start smaller with smaller followers. You can't just say, okay, I'm an artist, I'm going to pay Kim Kardashian $1 million to shout out my thing. Most of the time, it's not going to work, because most people are like, who is this person? You haven't created and really curated your page even sometimes to the point to even get those first 1,000 followers. And that's really important. And to be able to post consistently to be able to get those followers. A lot of people are like, okay, I want to get 1,000 followers, but they post once a week.
Right.
That's not how the algorithm works at all. Even if you have great branding, if you're not posting regularly, that algorithm is going to go nowhere. And the algorithm is different for every single platform that you utilize. So really honing in on who you want to target before you even start posting on your page is important, because you have to create the entire layout for when that person goes to your page. Oh, they've been around for a while. That requires at least 60 posts on your page, so that when someone visits and they're scrolling, oh, this person's been around, they're reputable, they're not like a brand new person. Okay, I'll follow them. Which is crazy to think about. Like you literally have to have content created before anyone even goes to your page, because the attention span of folks is like so short now. You have to be able to grab them within the first 5 seconds of them being on your page. They will decide whether or not they want to follow you. So that's like, to get those first 1,000 is actually the hardest. Once you get past that first 1,500, they'll start rolling in.
That makes me think of you saying that if you want people to subscribe, like, fan, follow, that you should have a significant amount of content for them to land on already. What about the idea of I'm going to pay for social media promotion and the need to, I've heard a lot of artists say that they need one killer video that's going to make it. I really feel like it's kind of more like you need to be ready to come with more stuff regularly. What about that idea of I'm going to pay for some social media promotion? How do I get ready for that? Say I got my 60 posts, I've been posting regularly, but now next step, I'm going to pay for it. And then Gina, I mean, have you used any paid promotion for your social media posts, and has that been effective for you?
It's been effective, yes, I have, but it's been effective for that week that I paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Beyond that week, nothing. Beyond that week, I mean, I grew some followers, but it wasn't substantial enough to,
Do it again.
yeah, to spend more money for it.
And not all paid social media help is created equal.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, like, it's one thing to pay to boost a particular post or an event. That's totally different than saying, I'm gonna hire a part-time social media promoter, manager that is targeted to to what I'm trying to do. That would be very expensive,
It
but
is.
but much more effective than when you say, okay, I'm gonna spend $100 to some company in India that says they'll get me 50,000 followers. They might, but those are not 50,000 people that are in any way connected to your art. They're not like quality followers that you can just buy through that method.
Right.
So there's like a difference in the quality there. Like, are you gonna have somebody that's getting followers by promoting you specifically? Or is it one of these like, follow me and I'll follow back scams that'll
Right.
get you 50,000 followers that will never interact on your posts?
Oh, yeah,
Or-
because interaction.
Right, right. Or it can be followers that are not even human beings.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want those followers.
Right,
I don't want to pay
exactly.
for those
And
followers. I want to pay for the ones that I can
those
speak
bots are kind
to.
of what you get from those budget,
Right.
you know, click
right.
here to get 50,000 followers. You can get that relatively inexpensively, but it's not quality.
Right.
And like you said, with the boosted posts, that's the only way to get any traction now on like a temporary ad for an event or a release, but it doesn't have like staying power.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
not in the way that like an organic share would.
Right.
Once you get, you know, maybe if you have paid for the boost and then your 1,500 followers pick it up and start sharing, then you got your money's worth out of that.
Yeah, and that's where analytics come into play, because now companies know people by followers. So they really look at interaction. So they'll say, okay, you've got, I know that I was working with one client, they had about 150,000 followers. They're like, okay, so well, send us your analytics page, because we're working on a beauty brand deal for them to be able to get an endorsement from that. So they wanted to see their actual analytics, and this was a brand new client that they asked me to work with them, because their problem was they had too many bots and not enough engagement. They weren't posting regularly enough to grow organically, so they took a shortcut and bought followers. Companies know that now, that that's able to be a thing. So they'll literally just ask you, print off your analytics page and send it to us. And then they can see how many interactions per day you get, how many likes you get, how many people you have on live regularly, things like that. So even buying followers doesn't work nowadays, because they can see through that lens a lot of times.
1,500 true believers, I'll take over 50,000 bought.
Easy.
Definitely.
Easy. Yeah.
Well, Dave and I actually judge the high school rock-off every year. We've done it for 21 years. And I always become fans of these bands that play the high school rock-offs, and I do follow them and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see which ones keep posting, which ones all of a sudden go away. And it's probably really common what you're saying. Like, they didn't see any results, and okay, we're done, we're stopping.
Yeah.
But there are some that every week we get something new. It's like kind of fun, so.
Yeah, and the consistency, that's the other thing. The algorithm can literally see consistency, and each platform has different favorites that will boost your position in the algorithm. So like right now, the biggest thing for Instagram is Reels. And I know so many artists that are like, why do I have to learn how to do Reels? I just want to post a picture. I'm like, well, can you at least post a carousel instead of just posting one picture? Because that boosts your engagement. Because once Instagram sees that somebody swiped, they're like, somebody was interested enough in the content to move to the next photo. That alone helps to boost your position and how many people you reach. Because a lot of people forget too, Instagram has 2 views now. They have a timeline view, which you have to manually go in as a user to select. And then they have a view which is not just based on time, but is based on how often a person likes and interacts with your pages. So really, as a business, you really only get exposed to organically 10% of your following regularly in Instagram. And that's only the people that regularly engage with your posts already. So it's like, okay, so now what do I need to do to organically grow that number so that I'm reaching people regularly? And that is by the type of content that you post. And I keep using the word content. A lot of artists really hate that this word is being used, because a lot of artists replace the word content for art. And that's not what you have to do when you're doing on social media. You need to find a way to integrate your art into a post that you're going to interact with your super fan with, right? You're still conveying your art, but I know it's strenuous to be like, okay, how do I come up with new content every day to post on my page? And that's really what it's about, is finding what type of content, how you're packaging that content, whether it be reels, single posts, carousels, videos, Instagram lives, where you're creating an actual, IGTV for folks where they can go back and actually watch your live concerts. I mean, now with Instagram Live, they have it where people can pay directly on Instagram Live to watch you. You know, where you buy a sticker, and every time you buy a sticker, you're paying whoever it is that you're watching $1 up to, however much you want to pay that person. So it's like there's so many different types of content, and that's just Instagram. That's not Facebook. That's not TikTok. That's not any of these other platforms. Each one has its own, and learning all of that nowadays is very overwhelming, but it's a necessity. So it's like, what type of content are you posting? It's not just about posting content. It's about what type of content and how often you're posting it.
So the guy that was doing my job really should become a social media director at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not also what you said, like about the swipe, but they are quantifying like dwell time. How long did you look at a picture or video?
Right.
And then that moves that reel up in the algorithm. So if you have artists that are just wanting to post photos or slideshows, a photo with 15 seconds of song behind it is going to keep somebody looking at the photo for a few seconds more, and then that will move that up in the algorithm. It's just like suggested ways to enhance that content to get people to dwell longer and click through to your page. I'm curious because we've talked a lot about Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I work with a couple artists that are having tremendous success on the Twitch platform.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering if you have had any of that interaction or played with that at all.
I feel like because it's a little bit newer for that type of art to be displayed on there,
Right,
there's
it
a lot
is.
more
It's
traction
kind of-
right now.
Yeah, they're really promoting musicians on there.
And I would suggest a lot of artists, whenever there's a new platform that comes out, it means it's early on in the algorithm. So it's still trying to figure out how it boosts people. So if you're going on to Twitch, you'll see even with Instagram, people that started really utilizing Instagram with video and multiple picture content before the algorithm was solidified, they were the ones that grew the fastest. You can see that on YouTube, where artists that started early with posting content on YouTube now have an entire catalog, so it's easy to go to their page. They blew up faster because the content was available and the algorithm was newer. And I would say that's going to be the same thing for Twitch, is the algorithm is newer. It's not sure exactly how it's going to push content yet. So the earlier you get on there and start creating a catalog, it's going to look at you as like, oh, this person has, maybe 20 hours worth of content. We're going to boost this page because they have availability for people to look at.
Right, and right now Twitch is giving artists with that amount of content front page promotion, and not the algorithm. They have people working for them because they want to grow that segment, that are reaching out to independent artists and making them partners. So not that I would have any kind of, I don't promote them at all. I'm only suggesting that it's another thing to explore, that right now some independent artists are having good success in getting direct monetary support from their fan base that way. It's there's less obstruction, I guess.
Yeah, less
of the-
noise right now.
Less noise in it, right. So it's like they are, if they've got 500 followers on Twitch, their releases are going to all 500.
Yeah, and that's what I
Nice.
mean. That's amazing to be able to actually reach, to
Right.
be able to reach over 50% of your audience is unheard of right now.
Right.
Like the max you can get, even, I mean, if you look at any major artist, and I keep going back to Beyonce because I love Beyonce. I'm a Beehive member secretly. Well, I guess it's not secret now. But I mean, look at the millions of followers she has. She probably reaches maybe, and she has a very well-paid staff. She maybe reaches 15 to 20% per post. And I mean, that's somebody with millions of dollars behind them. And certain releases that reach over 25, that's a definite sellout. If you're reaching over 25% of your audience, that's a definite sellout of whatever product it is that you're doing, because it's going to naturally create more traction because those people are reposting. But to be able to reach your entire audience right now on a platform, I would say run to Twitch if you're reaching all of your followers.
Right.
And there's no limitations.
I don't know if that's going to stay like that, but right now they're providing, like you said, the stickers and the stars, the very easy tools for people to directly send money to the artist in real time. And by that real-time interaction, you can see these communities just grow exponentially.
Nice.
It's interesting to me.
I'm interested.
So Gina, which platforms are you working with, or what do you feel as being is effective for you, or where do you see some things that you would want help with as an artist?
Well, I've worked with basically every platform that has come out since I've started. I started with MySpace. There was Our Stage. There was Reverb Nation. I'm with Twitter. I'm with Instagram now, Facebook. I'm interested in Twitch, or what is it? Did I say
Twitch,
right?
yeah.
Yes, I'm definitely interested in that. What I would definitely need help with is balancing my 9 to 5 and my dream, my art. It's difficult to be able to, post every day when I have to go to work. You know what I'm saying? I work a 10-hour shift. So when I get off, it's like,
I want to relax.
yeah, I want to relax, but I don't want to give all of my energy to my 9 to 5. I want to, have some energy reserved for my art that I love. I don't love my 9 to 5, I love my art. So that's where I'm struggling is with finding the balance and being able to promote constantly for my art and still make the money that I need to fund my art. You know what I mean? That's where I am.
And what I tell people a lot of times when trying to time out content, that's one of the biggest struggles that people have is learning how to balance, because a lot of people think, oh, I have to create something every day in order to post content. I tell people to batch your content. Pick one day a week and video, actually catalog and create your storyboard of what you're gonna post that week. So that's already done. And people don't realize too, a lot of this content is not live content. Most of this content is stuff that's been done. Pick one day, like I have my Instagram page, Sunny Gets Money, has been an experiment in my branding and things like that. It's a finance page, and I just tested around with, just batching reels, batching content. How do you create? I've had a day where I've created 20 reels, about 15 posts, and timed out my scheduling for all my live videos within a 6-hour time frame because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Then I had content for like 2 weeks. And I didn't have to actually spend time creating content. It was already batched, already saved in Instagram, and then I just click post whenever it's time to post.
You can even then add on an app like Hootsuite that'll tell you that you might work your 9 to 5, and Hootsuite could say you get the most interaction if your post comes out at 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. when you're not available to post. You can record all in one day, preload all of those reels in there, and have it set to release at 1 p.m. on every
really?
day of the week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that it will post at whatever time they've determined is your optimal time for interaction with your audience, and it will just post it for you at that time.
And it's so nice because it's all automated. You can literally automate so much of your Instagram posts. And I'm sure it's like that on other platforms too, on Facebook. I haven't done a lot of automated posts on Facebook. I've mostly worked with Instagram. But it will literally, as long as it's uploaded there, it'll post it.
Right, and it's a really valuable information tool because it is different. Like when I was doing social media management for a particular band, my time for them happened to be between 10 p.m. and midnight every night. Posts between 10 p.m. and midnight did not get traction.
They do
and so to get that information that says, your posts between these hours are most effective, and then to be able to load up all of their events and announcements and schedules to hit when their fans were at the computer was important. And their fans are at the computer at a different time than your fans might be. So that's going to be information that you need for your accounts. Is say, when are people commenting, when are people interacting? That's when you want to release those videos and reels. I mean, I guess it's more important to make sure you're posting regularly than to worry about the minutia of what time of day or what day of the week or whatever. If you want to say, I'm going to post 1 a day or 3 a day or every other day, whatever it is, but like to be consistent is more important. When you get to the point where you've got 10 in the can, when's the best time? When are my fans? Are they morning people or the night people?
Yeah.
Because you want to put it in front of them when they're going to get it.
Right.
when your super fans are gonna get it. And then they'll take the ball from there.
Well, I'll
So-
definitely be looking in the Hootsuite too, because I get off at 4:30 in the morning, you know what I'm saying? So none of my fans are awake.
Right,
You
and
know.
so that's not the only app. There are a few social media apps out there. That's just the one I've had experience with. But that's a really useful tool, especially when you have to handle all of these different social media accounts. We've
Yeah.
already talked about Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. What are you gonna like click between all 5, 6 different? That is a full-time job.
It is.
That you do not have time for if you're working another job to support your art.
Yeah.
So those third-party apps, you can set it up so that it will post all over for you. You can say, you know, post this to my Twitter on Monday and then on my Insta on Tuesday, or however, and then you don't have to manually be dealing with that.
And the other thing I want to say too, don't so quickly say that none of your fans are up at 4:30, because there's places in the rest of the world where people are awake.
True.
And a lot of people don't realize it until they download apps like that. Like, oh, my content is amazing in parts of Europe. Maybe if I'm generating enough followers and fans in Europe, I can actually do a tour in Europe. Because I can show analytically that I have a base of 2,000 fans in this particular city that somehow got traction on my page. So you don't even know if some of your fans are up at 4:30 a.m. Because it's 4:30 a.m. here, but it's 12 noon somewhere.
Right.
So you don't know if that's the other thing about social media. It's not just localized. You are reaching the entire globe. I mean, I've had worked with a band that most of their following was in Japan. And I was like, well, why don't you actually lean on that and actually target? Because with Facebook ads, you can actually target the location that your ads are going to and who's seeing that. So after you start being able to get to those analytics, which of course you need, like, don't worry about when you're posting to be able to get those 60 days worth of content or 60 posts worth of content, right? Because without that, you can't see where people are from that are looking at your content and what time it's being looked at, how long it's being looked at, what gender's looking at your content, what age group is looking at your content, because you never know where in the world your music could blow up, just because we can contact so many people now. It's limitless. And then they scheduled a whole tour, and each person made 6 figures off of a tour in Japan. I was like, maybe jazz music is a little bit more popular than we thought in parts of Japan. Maybe you should schedule some, there's other things, and working with one group, you can see, a tour here might actually do great because I know 3 other bands that have a similar vibe that might be able to be successful. And if they just changed how they market and maybe ran some analytics there, they might be able to get something together.
We talked about the idea that it's important to create a good experience for your fans, and we've talked a lot about social media, but I want to kind of get to that experience. You're doing a lot of music at festivals. You're working with bands at events. What are some on-the-ground things that bands are doing to get more people to listen to their stuff, to introduce new
I would say right now the forefront of the customer artist experience is the VIP experience, is like the VIP meet and greet, photo opportunity. That is like, I describe it as like the Wild West of the touring industry right now. It's pretty much the only part that the venues don't take a cut of, and the label doesn't get a huge cut of. The artist gets most of that money that they get from their meet and greet with their fans. That also really serves to provide an opportunity to both create the super fan and just strengthen that community feeling that keeps those people buying your merchandise. And additionally, in that like VIP meet and greet, those are also your top merchandise buyers. They will spend $300 to $500 a person after they've bought that $175 meet and greet ticket. So that's my experience right now, is what is, and not everybody's monetizing that. I think that it's really important to first to build the community. So if you're not to the point where you think your fans are going to pay to come take a photo with you, it's paramount that you're still coming out and standing near your t-shirts and your CDs and your albums, If you're not ready to shake hands and hug because there's still a pandemic, you can still stand behind the table and your fans will get to see you and talk to you and tell you how much they appreciate you. I think that's like the oldest fashioned thing beyond, we've talked about all the new technology. Just that one-on-one interaction is still super important, but it is also being monetized in ways that it has never before and is creating a very stable source of income for the touring artist. That's, I guess, my best advice there is, merch is always like just merch. That's,
Yeah.
T-shirts and stickers are never gonna go away, but I think that that one-on-one interaction with the band that people can, I don't know that even people see it so much as like I think they're happy to spend that money to get that private time, to get that photo, to get to ask questions that they wouldn't maybe feel comfortable asking in the crowded bar.
Right.
In a situation where it's like, oh, we're gonna do a Q&A, they'll ask a question that they wouldn't maybe feel comfortable asking just walking up to you in the show. I think it's a really valuable experience to provide to the fans.
Bruce, what do you see on the ground that people are doing right, or what is something that's come up on your radar, some group that came out of nowhere or worked their way up?
For the classic acts that I work with, that is a big thing right now. Elton John's going on tour, and it's like, $600, and you get a good seat, you get a you don't even meet the guy, but you get a good seat, you get a lithograph that he signs, you get a piece of merchandise, and you pay $600. And I know he sold 2,000 seats like that. So it's like, there is some big money to do it when you're a classic artist. For an artist like her, I don't know how she's going to do that, but if your name that's out there selling out, Blossom, you could make some really big money doing that. If you're a band that nobody's heard of and you're opening for the Foo Fighters, then your ass better be right back at the merchandise stand, signing everything you could possibly sign
100%.
after your set. Don't wait till the band's on stage. Go after your set. Don't wipe yourself down. Go, run there. You have 40 minutes by yourself with everybody that wants to meet you, and do that like crazy.
And that is a big difference in who will sell merch and who won't when they're on their way up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, people are gonna line up for the headlining band every time, but if you as an artist, get to be a support act for a large band, don't just assume, oh, they're gonna see me and like the music and they're gonna buy my merchandise. I see 100% of the time a night and day difference if the artist mentions that they have merchandise on stage. And I know, like, for some of the purist artists who don't like to think about their art as product, they are very uncomfortable with doing what they consider shilling from the stage. They don't want to be like, go buy my merch. But if they even say, hey, we have merchandise, they will sell 3-4 times more than if they don't mention it. So it comes down to being comfortable with the ask. And again, I keep mentioning,
And that is not their job in their mind, but
it is not their job in their mind, but it has
to be the part of their mind.
There's another really great TED Talk from the singer from the Dresden Dolls. She does this whole thing about being comfortable with the ask and how she had to get comfortable asking for support for her art. And that once she did that, not only was her next album completely funded by her fan, but her tour, and people were offering them places to stay. It is a hurdle that you have to get over, being able to make the ask, to say, hey, this is us. We have merchandise. We would love to meet you. You don't have to ask for their money off the stage. They will give it to you. But you have to be comfortable asking and saying, we have a product that we are selling.
Gina, what has been anything that's been successful for you or has worked well? What is something that you took away from either communicating or doing some sort of strategy towards getting listeners?
That strategy, I've sold more merchandise sweaty off of stage than, fresh.
Right.
You know? So I've even gone back to printing postcards, that I can hand out at my job, physically. That way they can see who they're talking to. They can see that I'm the artist and I'm promoting myself. I believe in myself and I want you to believe in me too. So that's what's worked. That's really what's worked for me.
Sonny, anything at events or?
I was gonna say too, even in terms of merch, being more creative with merch sometimes, especially when you are in front of an audience, you have an opportunity to tell them, we have this silly thing, or it could be like something different. Like, instead of maybe a shirt, or it might be like a lighter or something that's different, that just is weird, and you can actually physically show the product on a stage and say, we got a bunch of these if you want some. It's got my little, like, to make it fun, got my little picture. It could be silly things, but just being able to interact and have different varying types of merch, you have to find what works for your audience too. I mean, everybody in your audience might not like t-shirts, but they might like, I don't know, not a wallet, or maybe a fanny pack. Maybe your demographic loves fanny packs, and because you have that great age group that just is like obsessed with that piece of fashion, right? But you could have silly things like that more so are attracted to your audience, and that you actually have an opportunity to show to the eyes of people while you're on stage, and people are like, oh, well, I can go get that. That's cool. Actually taking advantage of those questions. No question is a stupid question. Everything that you're making available for your fans makes them feel like they're more of a community at that point.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny, I went and saw Garth Brooks a couple weeks ago down in Cincinnati, and Garth sells a ton of merchandise. He's always going to sell a ton of merch, and he's actually smart. He sells his t-shirts $25. It's unheard of, but he sells a ton. But he made a Cincinnati shirt, which was in the Bengals colors. You know how many, I was talking to the merchandise guy, because he's actually a friend of mine. He said they sell that 10 to 1 over all the rest of his merch, because it's a Cincinnati shirt and Cincinnati colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I did the show that Sonia and I did together before the pandemic, I wore a top hat for the show. And after the performance, this guy came up to me and said his wife liked my hat so much, and he wanted to buy the hat off of my head. I ended up selling him the hat, and I said, I guess I should start buying top hats now, Yeah.
If it's a part of your branding.
Yeah.
That's again where branding comes into play. You can almost sell anything if it's a part of your brand and it's so well integrated into your brand.
Yeah.
Like if that was a part of your, look at someone like Michael Jackson. What kind of
How many gloves do we sell?
How many gloves did he sell?
Right.
Right? And that's a part of his brand. So if you integrate those things into your branding, it's easier to sell merch if you have created that community and everybody knows that that's what it is. You can literally show them at the time, and then you get to go meet them.
We were selling for $125 a show.
Right, and then you get to go meet them while they buy from you, which makes them want to buy even more and listen to more of your products, because it's like, wow, I actually got to buy this from the artist, like that I've been listening to this whole time. That's how you create super fans and how you keep super fans.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of interesting things in merchandising. The handmade stuff. I saw an artist last night with handmade buttons and pins and hand-painted and stamped T-shirts. Some new, different things, maybe not that new, but I've seen a lot of metal bands and rap bands selling rolling papers, which I think is a great
Yeah,
idea
I've seen that.
because
yeah.
that's a consumable. You
Or
will
liquor.
buy it.
How many acts have liquor now?
Yeah, you have to think about what are people going to need anyway? What are they going to use over and over again? What are they going to take with them and have with them for a lighter is a great piece of merchandise for that reason. You're not going to make money off of them. They're very inexpensive, but that person will carry that with them for 2 years.
Or
after
they
that,
might
until
hand it to somebody
runs
else.
Out. Or yeah, they'll lose it and it'll carry your brand to a new fan. Things like lighters and
Keychains.
drink koozies and
Keychains.
coffee mugs and drinkware are great because they're things people use every day. You can drink from your coffee mug up on stage and they see it, and then they see it at the merch booth, or you can take it onto your Instagram and have a little coffee.
Yep.
And they see your merch, and you put a little link in the description.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that Rudy Ray Moore is like a brilliant marketer when he was alive and when he was touring, and he had a $1 back scratcher that was signed, and he told us, all of us, you have to have everything from $1 to $100.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Right. Something at the lowest price point, but then don't forget the premium price point, and that for an artist who's just made the leap to where they've had to work a 9-to-5 to support themselves, and then they get some success. Sometimes the mindset is still like on the budget, and they don't realize that they have a lot of fans that are not on a budget.
Yeah.
And you can have a $250 varsity jacket with your band name on it, and there might be a few people that buy that.
Yep.
Or something like that.
To actually tier your products, because your fan base is not just from one income demographic. The importance of tiering products, like even though you always have that dollar one, always make something super exclusive and a little bit
Right.
more expensive. That's gonna make someone, again, that super fan feel like I'm even more special because I have this, and or limited releases of high ticket products. Like there's only 100 of these.
And then autograph 10 of them.
Yeah.
And make those twice as much.
Yeah, so you have an opportunity to create still a level of VIP experience even within your merchandise.
I'd like to open up for questions now, if anybody has any questions. Step right up. Thank you.
Hi, this question is for Corinne. So when you do your merch for bands, you do e-commerce also,
Yes.
right? So how do you handle sales tax for the different states?
Through online sales,
Yeah,
that is charged at checkout. That is charged to the customer during the checkout process.
so what platform do you use that it charges the right amount and then pays it to the state?
It doesn't pay it to the state.
Okay.
It charges the customer, and then you have to pay it to the state that you're selling from.
Okay, so how do you manage that, I guess? Because that seems like a lot of work.
Well, it's a lot of work if you're doing a lot of sales.
Mhm.
If you're doing a little sales, it's a little work that you can do on your own.
Okay.
And when you're doing a lot of sales and it becomes a lot of work, you're hopefully making enough money to have somebody help you with your tax accounting,
Okay.
I guess is by the time you need help, you can hopefully afford it.
Okay.
Yeah, and tax accounting, because I have a finance background, so I go in and do taxes and audits and everything for companies. So they make a lot of really affordable programs now where you can do monthly summaries and monthly estimates now electronically. So you can literally just submit, like say you're using something like Shopify, where
That's
you
what I
can
use.
Shopify is great. I love more Shopify because it's literally made for selling, right?
It is very easy to use. There are others that do exactly the same thing, but it will tell you which orders you are required to pay sales tax on and which you aren't, what you owe to the state. Ohio is self-reporting state, so you just then take that and make your reporting quarterly.
Okay. Yeah, I do have a tax accountant, but she was going to charge me a lot more for that, and I was like,
If you're not making a lot of money at it yet, you
Yeah.
shouldn't really need that much help with it if you can use like Shopify or QuickBooks or
QuickBooks is really nice too because I love that you can literally take pictures of receipts and everything, they auto save. QuickBooks is one of the most user-friendly intros for accounting for the average person. Number one, they have an app, so everybody has a phone. You can literally look at your summaries. Any sales directly can funnel to QuickBooks from your Shopify store. You can literally link them together and have it auto go into QuickBooks, so at the end of the year, your accountant can literally just look at it that way. As you get larger though, QuickBooks can get messy. So I would always recommend anyone that once you start breaking, I would say like $50,000 mark, you're gonna want an accountant. Because once you hit that mark, you're gonna start growing pretty fast. It's easy to grow fast from that point once you have that amount of consumers that are purchasing your goods. But QuickBooks is really good to start with, and you don't have to pay an accountant to look to see what you owe in tax because you can literally do math and figure it out yourself from some of these analytics reports that you can pull from these platforms.
And QuickBooks and some of those other, they're tiered at different price levels. So as you're getting started, there may be like a free or inexpensive version that you can use for self-employed, and then as you grow, the programs can grow with you, or you could grow into a more suitable software program.
And a lot of times, I'm sorry.
Oh, so Shopify has the integration to do the
Yes.
state taxes.
So does
Okay.
so does PayPal.
Because I have a
or-
Squarespace website, and
There's certain packages that you can attach on to Squarespace.
Yeah,
Because I have a couple websites that are Squarespace because it was easier and cheaper to buy the domain through there. And it was a simple website. So you would have to add an attachment onto there for that type of analytics
yeah,
ad.
like TaxJar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just in terms of e-commerce, I think right now you're only required to pay sales tax on things you ship from Ohio to Ohio. If you're shipping out of state, you don't owe any sales tax on that.
Hey, just a quick question. Corinne mentioned a little bit, I heard that drop, you could sell even an NFT. What the heck is an NFT?
I forget the abbreviation.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't.
All right.
It
Oh,
can
I
be
know about
whatever you
NFTs,
want
so
it to be,
Yeah.
is what it is. It stands for non-fungible token, but
Yeah.
what that means is fungible, I think.
So
No,
it's,
I mean,
it's
you-
pretty
it-
much, oh, go ahead.
It can be anything you want digitally. It can be attached to a physical object. It's supposed to be an authentication that this is something that this one thing is actually it, and a copy of it isn't the original. If it's an image, you can copy the image, but it's like a certificate of authenticity in some ways that says, I have the original one. Now, some artists are creating their band images. Some artists are creating new content. It could be a video loop. It's like a trading card. The NBA is making them into, there's a product they have called Top Shot, which is little trading cards, and some of them are short video loops. It could be attached to a song. It could be, so a lot of bands are jumping at it right now. There's a lot of artists who are minting their own NFTs and marketing and selling them. Sometimes it is a screensaver for your phone, so you can show that I paid and supported this artist and I have this image. So a lot of them are images right now, but there are any kind of digital content it can be attached to and sold, and you can create a sense of exclusivity or limited edition through the amount that you make and attach this NFT to, saying that this is one of one or one of 50 or one of 150,000, and that this is how many are made.
I don't mean to be negative, but I'm not 100% sold on this entire.
Well-
I don't know that I I get it, and I'm happy for people who are making a profit this way. As a consumer, I don't know that I would ever put a high value on something that I could lose in a blackout.
Or if the company goes down.
Yeah, so it depends on the platform that the NFT is sold on. That's the first thing. So if you are producing an NFT, you want to have it on a reputable platform, not just a random platform, with a certain level of security, so that those assets aren't able to be stolen or moved or impacted by viruses, things like that. The other thing, a lot of people forget too with NFTs, it's endless royalties. So a lot of artists are also actually releasing their albums as NFTs, because every time that album is sold from one user to another user, the artist gets a royalty percentage. So it's not just a one-time sale. That's why a lot of artists now are looking at NFTs as being valuable, because it's a new age royalty. Which, a lot of, you can look at people like Paul Simon, who sold 1 billion. Every time his record gets played, he gets paid a percentage, or, depending on where it's played, how it's bought, how it's sold, right? That's the same thing that NFTs are trying to bring into the modern age, is that every time that art, so your art never dies and your art never stops making you money. Every time someone looks at it, you get paid a percentage from that sale.
What would you consider to be a reputable platform?
I have a consultant for that. I don't do that. I always send people who want to do that to one of my consultants, because he literally builds the platforms for companies that are doing them. I can't think of any right off the top of my head. I'd have to call him.
Actually, the big thing going on right now is there's all these classic rock artists are selling their publishing for hundreds of millions. Like Bob Dylan's going to go for $600 million. Justin Timberlake just went for $300 million, and it's like they sell their publishing, and it's like they're going to be making money from the music just by people using their music now.
Yeah, and if an NFT people are interested in buying a resold NFT, that solves something that the industry has been claiming is a problem, and many artists for decades and decades, which was, how do you make money if somebody resells your record? If you take something to the exchange and sell it and they sell it again, the artist doesn't get a cut of a physical product, but now there's a way for somebody to sell something to somebody and you still get, as an artist, your royalty in that second sale. So it's interesting, at the same time, we're looking and saying that people aren't buying music in the same way, so how do you attach that need for somebody to get your music? If I would think that they would have to release exclusively on NFTs, so I couldn't just play the song on my iTunes or Spotify.
That's what a lot of artists do. They release a limited amount of records just on that platform, so you have to actually download that app in order to access it. So that makes it a little bit iffy. Like sometimes over, like I know an artist that released maybe like 1,000, and within that small period of time, they had made like $5,000 in the one day because they sold their album for less just because they wanted to make it accessible. But as it resold, the fans are actually upping the prices of the album in order to sell it. So the artist was making, number one, the artist didn't realize that their art was worth more. Two, then the people would actually buy their art at that heightened price, and then they were able to make that money from sales within a short period of time.
And then at the same time, I've seen artists who have basically enacted scams on their fans where they've, there have been NFT platforms that have shut down after the fans have bought thousands and thousands of dollars of art. I mean, if you just look up NFT scams with artists right now, there's a, particularly in the rap world right now, there have been a lot of artists who minted their own NFTs, and it's really been a money grab in some of these cases that you're not getting anything. But I guess the value can be in the eye of the purchaser. And,
Right.
But like Sonny said, find a reputable host, because some of the services have shut down after selling products, and then they're not accessible because they're
Not existent.
digital and that server's gone. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Gina, do you have any questions more questions for the panelists as an artist?
How do I get in touch with you? I want to be able to utilize all of you because, yeah, I need to quit my day job. You know?
That's the goal for all the artists, right?
Yeah, we want to quit our day job.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming today. I appreciate it. On behalf of Cleveland Rocks past, present, and future, thank you all for being here. Thanks again to Cuyahoga Arts and Culture and the Ohio Arts Council for supporting this. Thanks to everybody who donated to Cleveland Rocks past, present, and future. You can donate to Cleveland Rocks by going to clevelandrocksppf.org, clevelandrocksppf.org. And you could also join our mailing list and find out about new and exciting events we have, like the upcoming concert next Saturday with the Waterloo Makes Music series, free concert down here on Waterloo from 1 to 3 p.m. with Apostle Jones and DJ 1-800-SOS playing original house music. And we'll have several other concerts throughout the summer at the Tower Stage and at the Blue Windmill Stage here on Waterloo. We have a upcoming fashion show for Fashion Rocks. It's about Cleveland musicians and how they dress and how they get ready for the stage. And we have an ongoing gallery show next door at the Space Rock Gallery featuring photographs of many of the musicians, some of whom will be in the fashion show. And we're getting ready to open back up the Music Save Space as the Cleveland Rock Shop, a local music retailer where you can find music and merchandise of current and past Cleveland bands. Thank you all for joining us.
That was off the top of your head. That was impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Radio voice.
I want to remember that much information.
I've been working on it. I was rough the first couple